second. Make sure everything's working. Okay.
So is this leisure suit ant?
Bro, I was in my bathrobe. Okay, be happy I got out of my bathrobe. I wasn't gonna. I was like standing in the kitchen and I was like, maybe I should get out of my bathrobe, but I was like, I don't really feel like getting out of my bathrobe, so I was really torn. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls,
Children of all ages!
we are filming the podcast today. We are on blast. It is the crack ass of dawn, Ira.
Oh, yes.
It is the absolute crack ass of dawn. It's fucking early.
Oh, man.
It's early, so make sure you smash that subscribe button if you haven't, because we're out here hustling while y'all are definitely still asleep. I know that for sure.
We're both kind of still asleep.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get my bearings. Ira's trying to get his. But we wanted to film. We had no time, Ira, so we had to make.
It's just been.
We had to make some time. But if you guys haven't followed, make sure you follow us on Instagram and Facebook. On Blast Podcast, and yeah, man, it's been.
And
a couple
you can find us on
weeks.
TikTok, OB Podcast.
TikTok too. Can't forget TikTok. Ira's always on the TikTok thing. But Ira, what's up, man? It's been a couple weeks since we filmed.
Yeah, it's definitely been a couple weeks.
It's been a juicy couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean,
Juicy.
it's been up and down, dude. It's definitely been up and down.
Hasn't it been weird?
If you really want to look at it,
Not like in a bad way, but
like in a broad perspective, yeah, dude, it's been weird because it's like out of the ordinary.
Yes.
You know, and like you and I both know, life is going to be always unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen each day.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like, man, it's like 1 minute's on up, and another minute's down, up and down. It's like a freaking roller coaster, you know? And it's like you just can't gauge what each day is going to be. And like me myself, I've been struggling waking up, so it's like I don't know how my day's going to go just from when I wake up.
Ira's still got sand crusties in his eyeballs. Don't worry, dude.
But no, little floof noodles were licking them out this morning.
The floof noodles, for anyone that doesn't know, that's the ferrets licking Ira awake. Ira, can you tell us about your hoodie, bro?
So,
I mean, can we
this
hear
right
about
here,
that?
This is a glimpse into whiteboard worthy right here.
Okay.
So when we were doing our first photo shoot, you know, this was one of my favorite articles that we had, and well, we didn't really go forward with those photos, did we?
No, it's fine, but we can still talk about it.
Yeah, so, you know, we had a great time with the photo shoot and everything, but, like, out of all the pieces that stuck out, this one stuck out the most to me, because, you know, it has, like, the lifeguard sign,
Yeah.
but then also says self-care, and it's red as hell.
Yeah.
And it's like, it literally fits my personality, but at the same time, like, it's my favorite article, because it's so simple, and not in a disrespectful, demeaning simple.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
simple, but the message is powerful,
I'm
dude.
sorry,
Like,
the strings were gonna drive me fucking wild.
thank you, Mom.
Well, you know, somebody's got to look out for you in this world. You know, we live in a fucked up world, man. It's just little things in life. But yeah, dude. That's...
But I mean, dude, it fits like a charm.
Yeah.
As far as like the quality, like hands down, best quality for a sweatshirt. You know, and I'm not just saying that. Like, it really is a comfortable shirt. Even after you wash it, it's still fluffy. You know, it still has the little fleece inside and everything.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's great quality shirt. But I mean, overall though, I mean, the message says it all.
It's very simple, and a lot of thought actually went into that piece. But and it's funny because like when other people talk about whiteboard worthy, they're inclined to like say like it's good quality. You know, they're friends of mine. You know, these are people that obviously want to appeal to some kind of need I have, that I want good quality. I want the best design. I want this. I want that. But the clothes really are a really good quality.
Yeah, and the thing is though is like I've been through this whole process with you, and like, you know, just the amount of selections of different vendors and different types of fabric that you went through, you know, like a lot went into this, and aside of a lot going into it, you know, just getting them and being able, and like, we're friends and everything, but I'm not just boasting about it. Like, you really went the distance to get the good quality.
Oh yeah.
And like I was
fucking
skeptical
around.
because everybody says that, but then once I
Sure.
actually put the clothes on
Yeah.
and I was feeling them, like, and even before I put them on, I told them like I can see them. I'm like, holy crap, dude!
Yeah.
I was like, how much does this cost?
Yeah,
You know? But
like
like-
a fucking lot. It costs a lot.
Yeah. Well, the thing is though, but that's the thing. That's the whole point of whiteboard worthy.
Financially was barely a concern. Mentally, what it costed me, I will never get that back. Money comes and money goes. That's life. That's the racket we're in. But mentally, everything went into it. So we're just 2 weeks out on launch, man. It's pretty exciting. It's
So
cool.
how do you feel about that, man?
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. You have no idea. It's so bizarre to think. Like, we're launching and every little fucking detail that I've combed through and really looked at and the computer and sleepless nights and talking to people about conversations I never thought I'd have and marketing and strategizing and analyzing and planning and the amount of shit that has gone into it has just been. I could sit here for an hour and just go down the list. It's so much has gone into it, but
One thing I gotta point out though, because like everything you said, like when you put that all into one bracket,
yeah,
and you're really going down it, like, and you have an understanding as to what goes into all that, that's a lot of stress. And one thing that's like I gotta point out, dude, and I applaud you because seriously, like you're holding it together great, but also at the same time, even like if things are not going as according or planned,
yeah,
you're basically getting through it. But aside of getting through it, you're finding alternative means, but also you're not allowing it to hold back, on the launch or hold back anything else. It's like, okay, this happened. All right, so what's plan B?
yeah,
And like you've really been processing everything the right way. But I still gotta applaud you though because like it's so mentally taxing, and like it's draining. And a lot of times, when things are that taxing and draining, like people fold or they collapse or they just leap off the screen, and you've done none of the above.
It's been tough, man, and I wanted it to be tough. I want things to be hard. I want if it comes easy, I'm skeptical.
I'm right there with you on that one.
I really am. I need to understand. Like I want things to be tough, and it's been hard, man. And when people look at me and they say, I can really relate to that. I have a lot of questions because I know what I've gone through to get to this point. And if you can relate to me, I need to understand how.
Yeah.
Because dude, I'm writing in fucking journals. I think I'm going mad. Like if you can relate to me, my hat's off to you, right? Because you went mad a couple times in the last few months and year or so, So it's been fun, man. It's whiteboard worthy. I'm very excited about, and I have had to persevere in ways and think outside the box and change things and scratch things, and it's been so much more than just designing, a simple hoodie that you see today.
Right.
That's what you see. That's
And
the end result.
it's so much more than what's going on nowadays anyway. Because a lot of people, they're just like setting up these websites, doing the drop shipping thing, and that like you're formulating a whole company, like a website, photo shoots, models, vendors. Like that's a lot of work, and like a lot of people that are having the easy route, they might be making money hand over fist, but
Sure.
there's a good chance that their business is going to collapse real quick because it's so the market is going to be so saturated with that. But like what you're doing is you're creating stability for yourself and then within your company.
I think what it is for me, man, is I don't care about the money.
It never was about the money.
It never was.
From day one, it wasn't.
Yeah, the money's nice. It's a necessary evil, but I think in terms of the longevity of the business, because I want to be able to have a family one day, and I want to be able to travel as much as I want, and I want all these things, and I'm willing to make a lot of sacrifices right now that a lot of people my age and older would not do. Yeah. People are not willing to sacrifice their free time.
Well, that's the thing. Like, sacrifice is like one thing that's I don't want to say it's unheard of, but it is it's a constant like battle with the generations right now because like I grew up having to sacrifice. I grew up with the notion of in order to move forward you have to sacrifice.
Yeah.
Give and take. Compromise.
Yeah.
But like I'm realizing how times have shifted that the ability for compromise or the ability for sacrifice, like, just when that thought is put forth, like, their brains just start melting.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't mean like I mean they're like literally melting. Like, what? I got to do what? And like to somebody like me or you, like it's like, yeah, I mean that's not that big of a deal. Like, but the thing is though, is we've had that time to accept that process, whereas with the generational switch, it's a complete taboo. It's something that's like not known. They're not used to that.
Yeah,
so,
they look at you and think you're nuts.
Yes.
Right? And I remember being that young kid looking at the older people going, what the fuck is wrong with you? And now I am the older people and they're going, what's wrong with you?
Now we're the ones that are walking through 10 feet of snow to get to school in sandals.
Yeah, and I'm like looking at these kids like, man, you don't know what I've been through, boy. Like, you have no idea. Like, they're like, it's so weird how the world comes full circle.
Yeah.
And I, like, you and I, we talk about it a lot, but dude, the last couple weeks, shit has come full fucking
dude, I've watched
circle.
it spin around, like, just with you, like, we're worthy. Like, it is literally...
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, though, is you're keeping up with the pace. That's the thing. And a lot of times, when that starts happening, the pace ends up overriding you.
Yes, it'll end up surpassing you, and the problem, that is the biggest problem.
And you've been great with, like, pumping the brakes on that, and then controlling the flow.
Yes.
Like, dude, seriously, like, I appreciate that because I know what goes into that, you know, because I'm, you know, here firsthand witnessing it. But,
yeah, you are.
like, even in my own experiences in life, you know, I try to do the same. There have been times, and you've been around for it, when things have surpassed me.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like trying to play catch up.
It's
You haven't done that. Like, but actually, this is where I need to attribute to you, because a portion of my ability to pump the brakes when I start seeing things is from working with you, but not just
Ira,
working
you
with you.
learned
But
something
like,
from me?
I learned a lot from you, dude.
That makes me happy. That makes me happy.
Like, see, this is him being humble. The reality is, I owe a lot to this man, because one, he gave me one of my first chances when I got out of prison, and then two, he was one of the first people to believe in me outside of my family. You know, and with him believing in me and working through a lot of stuff, he got to know me, and he got to figure out how I can utilize certain character traits that I have to better myself and not fall back into bad behaviors, you know? So, I mean, he's been a major influence, but, I mean, hands down, one of the biggest impacts in my life in the last 3-4 years.
Ira's getting me in my feelings this morning.
I'm just being real. He just can't handle a compliment.
Are you trying to make me cry this morning?
Sure, why not?
When I asked Ira for a 5 a.m. podcast, I didn't think it was going to include me crying. Ira, for the record, you owe me nothing, dude. I'm just happy that you turned out to be a success story, whether you look at it that way or not. And I think that's tough, and that's something I kept coming back to the last couple of weeks, where I kept questioning, like, who am I? Like, what am I? What's my story? I really started to think about it. And sometimes we get in our heads about that, because what I think of you is very different than what you think of you, right? It's got to be. It's drastic. I mean, I've seen more studies on this. What we think of ourselves is drastically different for the most part than what others see us as. I think you turned out wonderful, really. I think you've got so much going for you. You've got a heart of fucking gold. You are loyal to an absolute fault. I mean,
you can't break my loyalty. I know that.
it is just fucking truly incredible. But I think a lot of that has to do with, like, you know, thinking about, like, who you are as a person and being vulnerable to accept who you truly are as a person. Like, it's difficult, man. It is truly difficult to accept certain things, like, because we just get in our heads and we stumble and we lose sight, and
let me point out, all of which, you know, I've been having issues with over the last few months.
Yeah.
And this is where the blessing is, because I have solid people around me to be able to point these things out.
Yeah.
You know, like,
you do.
And when I mean point them out, I mean sit my ass down and really, like, drill it in. Like, it's not like, Ira, you got a problem, you got to fix it.
How
like,
did we make out last week, Ira, when we tried to film?
Oh, man. Yeah, it didn't go so well. It definitely didn't go so well. But the thing is, though, is it needed to happen. Yeah. You know, like, you saw something, and, you know, you pumped the brakes on it, and we had to sit down and we had to really discuss some things.
That was a man fucking conversation, man, and I am so happy that it was had, because I don't care how you treat me, Ira. I deal with everybody's bullshit. I really don't mind everybody's shit. You know, we all got shit. I get it. But I didn't want it to affect, like, what other areas of life you got going on. You know?
Yeah.
You interact with other people. You know, it's not just me. So, and that's where concerns arise. Like, you like, and a lot of people would see that conflict and not have that conversation with somebody because they don't want to hurt their feelings or yada yada yada.
But then it's an awkward conversation for a lot of people because
Yes.
they don't know how it's going to go. But then too, they just don't know how to approach somebody.
It's hard to communicate. It is. I mean the very basic part of that is
that's never been a problem between me and you. Communication has always been solid since day one.
yeah, and because
Well,
that's
actually, maybe not since day one because you refused to accept that I was deaf. And when I didn't hear you,
there were some gaps in the communication for a time, but communication is key, man, and it's made our relationship very powerful because you know, when there's a problem, we talk about it, and it makes us uncomfortable, but it makes us so much more of a person because you know, it takes a real character to sit someone down and have a hard conversation. It takes an even bigger character to take the conversation.
Yeah.
You know, when someone's cutting into you, you know, somebody's telling you something that you didn't think of or is offensive.
and the thing is, though,
on
it's
some
like
level.
we're so lost in the fog. Sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees, and it takes somebody else to point that out. Like me, I completely accept that, and I know when I'm in my funk.
I don't think I can talk to you anymore because I just made a couple connections that I was not looking to make right now. Keep going. I'm sorry to cut you off. It wasn't bad, but it was.
It's going crazy.
I might be going mad, dude. Oh God.
It's the morning wires frying.
I'm hoping it's just a morning thing, and I'm just like not. I don't have my bearings yet or something, but. Did I derail you?
A little bit.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, dude. You said something, and it struck a nerve in my brain, and.
Anything you want to share about? Or comfortable sharing about?
Well, yeah, I'm absolutely comfortable sharing. So I shared with you like an excerpt of like my week,
Right.
A revelation I had.
Oh yes.
It took me weeks to get to that point. I'm gonna like reverse engineer this for a second, okay?
I love reverse engineering.
You mentioned seeing the forest through the fog or something. What was that?
Well, you can't see through the fog. Well, when you're in the fog, then you can't see the forest for the trees. So,
it is so fucking weird how the world works, dude. I'm telling you. I spent a lot of time this week coming back to the same question: is who are we? Who are we?
Okay.
Like, very seriously, like we talk about looking ourselves in the mirror and saying, you know, having that hard conversation, like you're being an asshole, and you know, this is so much deeper. And I could start from the very top, but I don't know how far I could go with that. But I met someone the last couple weeks, and we shared a really nice few weeks together. You know, this girl and I, and I read her one of my journals one day, and it said talking about like impact, and she kind of like wrote it off in some way. And not offensive or misunderstood in any way, but she really made me think. Like, this girl, amazing. Like, the way the brain works.
No, I mean, well, we've talked at length, so it's like, I know where you're going.
Yeah, I'm a very black and white, very simple. I don't think...
Yeah, gray areas are a hard thing for me as well.
It
is. And I've been trying. I've been trying to see gray areas.
Well, it's possible if you're wondering, because that's where I got to this week. I thought I wasn't capable of thinking outside of that, to be honest. I thought I just saw things how they were, and this girl, right, like in a moment was like, taught me, like, you can think in layers. You can think really, really in depth about things. So I kept coming back to this idea of who am I this week, and I made myself really vulnerable. I looked at a lot of really strange things to get to this revelation. And I started to think about like surface knowledge. Like, I asked myself, am I smart? And then I thought, well, yeah, I'm smart, but what's below the surface? Like, okay, do you really know anything else below the surface? So like, if we talk about a topic,
all right, I see this process.
So like, I'm going through all these steps and analyzing this, dude. I really am. I didn't sleep much this week.
No, you didn't.
I don't think I slept much at all.
Same here.
Yeah, not much more than I normally wouldn't, but I kept coming back to these things, and I couldn't understand what was happening. And when I kept coming back to this question of who am I,
Mm-hmm.
I had to get to the bottom of it. And so, long story short, I thought about, man, am I missing something? Is there a void? And, I thought of how I'm a people pleaser, and I latch onto the minds of others, and, like, am I really just an accumulation of the people that I've been around? Do I see the world through my eyes or someone else's eyes? Because when you think about it, all you're really doing is thinking about how someone else is going to imagine this, right?
Right.
So if I don't show up to work today, what's my boss going to say? Not, I feel like shit, I can't go to work. It's what's my boss going to say, right?
Right.
So you're just constantly seeing the world through other people's eyes. And that burned my fucking ass, bro.
So you're really not looking at your own.
Yeah, it burned my ass because I was like, I just kept coming back to what's my narrative, what's my story. If I die tomorrow, what's my fucking story? Are people going to know what's in my head? Right? So, not being able to see through the fog, the forest, whatever, yada, 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 I came back to my dad.
Okay.
My dad died in 2019.
And I mean, that was a rough time period for you too, right around then. Like,
It was bad.
yeah.
It was bad.
I mean, and you hit, like, I don't want to, well, to the other people, you hit it well.
Yeah.
To, the people that really knew you, we knew you were going through it.
I was. Yeah, I was.
And respectively so, you should have.
I was devastated. And the point is, though, and a lot of people will never admit this. I read this to my mom last night. She almost died. Seriously. My mother. My blood. My mother. Okay? You don't read everything to mom. I'm close to mom. I love mom. Closer than ever. Whatever. But mom had to hear it. My mom and dad were in love their whole life. Since they were teenagers, they were in love. It just never worked out. Okay? So, I started to think about this void, and I somehow got to my dad. And I started to recognize that, and I guess in my developing years, because I didn't have my dad's acceptance, because he favored my brother,
Okay.
I didn't realize how fucking big that was. I really didn't realize it. I didn't realize that my father's acceptance of me fueled so many things today at 25, right? I'm going to be 26. I didn't realize, dude. And the problem with that was, further, every time I thought of my dad, I only had good memories. I only thought, man, he's a loving dad, and he's this, that, and that's because he died, and that's why I wanted to remember him. So I almost created this fucking illusion, right? Because when the brain doesn't like something or agree with something, what's it do? It makes its own story. So I've created this illusion now that my dad was this great and wonderful person, which he was. But he didn't accept me as a kid, and I was fucking totally blind by that because I loved him and I had good memories with him.
It's funny you bring that up because it's the same for me, but I'm on a different side of the spectrum. Like, my mother favored me over the rest of my siblings, and she made no qualms about it. Like, everybody knew, and to this day, there's always been issues one way or another with me and my siblings, and a lot of times I could never figure out what it really was until I was a grown adult when I started doing work on myself and really identifying the root cause of certain issues and things and all that.
Yeah.
And, like, there was a lot of, I have to say, there had to have been resentments. There had to have been a lot of that, and I never appreciated or even taken notice to how that could affect them and how it ultimately affected our relationship growing up into adulthood, but also at the same time, I never really paid attention to it as a kid, how much it affected my stepdad. Now, I'm not going to brush under the table the stuff that he did to me, because he did a lot of bad shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not going to get into detail.
Sure.
But the thing is, though, is like, I'm sure that played a part as to why he singled me out, you know, for his abuse. Why he singled me out for all that crap. You know, like, yeah, he had it out with all my other brothers and sisters, but he had it out for me.
Funny
and
how,
I mean,
funny how that works.
And I always looked at it was because, like, I mean, dude, I was the ADHD fucking super hyper jumping on the bed kid, can't stop me. So I figured it was because of that. I never really appreciated or even thought about, you know, the mental impact that, you know, the favoritism that my mother had for me. And, like, when I say the favoritism, like, it was extreme. Like, like, I was her favorite child. And that's gotta fucking suck for my brothers and sisters to hear that. Like, that's abuse in itself.
My brother was my dad's favorite child. You see what I just laid out for you?
Yeah, like,
see what it did to me?
And I mean, and
on the receiving end,
my mother was vocal about it. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's
she was vocal about it. And, like, I always, like, you know, held it up like a trophy as a kid. But now as a grown adult, you know, where I can see more than one end, you know, instead of, you know, the self-reflection or even, like, the instinct, like, the self-gratification that it would provide.
Yeah.
You know, I'm able to appreciate the other aspect of it, and it's like, you know, I don't have any relationship really with my siblings, and a good portion of it is because of the bad stuff that's happened between us, like, whether it was me or them, you know, but I know I had hidden resentments. I had things that were sitting back there that I never got in front of, I never really sat down and talked with them about, and you know, maybe that would provide some closure and we could move forward. But the thing is, though, is like where I'm at in life and where they're at in life, they're two very different lifestyles that they're not going to mesh. You know, I'm somewhere a little further on in...
There's nothing wrong with that. Everyone
like,
chooses
I'm
a
much
path.
further
Some
on,
people are
and,
shooting up, some are down.
Like, the thing is like, I can't get like that. And I have a feeling just intertwining or even trying to find closure or provide closure, it's gonna put that lasso around and potentially pull back. So I have to think what's best for my best interest, you know. So I haven't done all that.
I couldn't fucking agree more. Your best interest. This is right back to what I was fucking saying. Your narrative. Who are you? Granted, you're a giver, Ira. You want to give, so you probably you notice. Hey, maybe my siblings resent me. I want them to maybe feel a little bit better. Know that I didn't intend for that to happen, right? That's what you want to do. But you gotta come back to core and say, what's Ira want to do? What's Ira want to do? That's
right.
It's fucking... Dude, I'm not just saying it, and people really need to take a minute to think about it. And it's vulnerable, bro. It's a vulnerable fucking conversation that has to be had with everybody because we've all been through it. We are all going through it. We've been through it. We're going to continue to go through it. But I will tell you this much. Lessen the impact to yourself. And take the time to know you. Spend time with you. Because it's the only thing that's going to minimize the hurt.
Well, it's good that you bring that up also because, you know, I'm not one to live on social media, you know, but I do scroll through it. It takes up my time, like, and allows me to just, like, deal with certain mental issues that I have. But the thing is, though, is like, I like reading some memes. And I came across this one meme that I posted, and you were the first person to jump on that. And, like...
I jump on the meme train, bro.
The thing is, though, like, it was such an impactful message, and it was... Like, I can't remember what the centralization of it was.
You shared it on Facebook or something? You want to pull it up quick? Or yeah, so it was a impactful message. Yeah, usually Ira shares a lot of impactful shit. I think the one day he shared something and read it to me, and I said, "You realize I shared that, right?"
I believe that's the one.
Is it?
All right, so reset, readjust, restart, refocus, ... as many times as you need to. You know, that in itself, like, that resonated 1,000,000% with me because that process right there is 100% what I've been doing over this last couple weeks. Yeah. You know, and I've been struggling over the last couple of months, okay, with, I don't want to say self-discovery, but more so, I keep looking at how did I get here? And when I say how did I get here, like mentally, you know, how did I get here? Because things have not been great over the last couple of months. You know, I've been having a lot of issues.
Yeah.
And working through those things it's been a lot of trials and tribulations. I haven't made the best decisions in the process of trying to repair But also at the same time, there was a period that I wasn't even trying to repair. I was just freaking deteriorating. You know, and luckily I was able to, you know, my favorite term, start taking a personal inventory.
I love that, man. I love it.
And, you know, and from that, like, you know, it bounces back. Well, who are you? You know, who are you? And I couldn't give a very accurate answer to myself. Not saying I don't know who I am or where I'm going or what I'm doing, but more so, like, who are you?
Big picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How did you get here?
Yeah.
You know, so the reason why this rung out is it couldn't have come at a better time, because I was literally going through this process, and then I just see this, and it's literally a girl walking on rocks into fog. So do you think there's a forest and trees behind that fog? We might never know. So the message itself: reset, readjust, restart, refocus. If you need to do it a million times, just so you can be able to see
it. Yeah. Just keep doing it. There's great humility in trying and failing and trying and failing, dude. There really is.
Being that I have this out, one of my favorite posts that I put out, it was August 14th, 2018.
Ira's sharing all of his posts.
Well, no, this actually it ties into what we're talking about as to who am I.
Okay.
You know, because this was like one of my first months out. Okay, and I think I was only out a few weeks at this point.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of hurdles that were in my way as soon as I got out.
Well, sure.
You know, and I mean, you know, I'll just read the post. You know, I mean, if you're on my Facebook, you can go on and see it at any point. You know, but this one I've posted every single year since I've been out when it pops up on my memories, because it's one of my favorites. You know, and then what I wrote is for the last decade, I'd wake up and look in the mirror and ask the man that was staring back at me, is today the day? You know, is today the day that all changes? You know, for so long, nothing changed. Everything was the same day in and day out. But now I saw that man today and asked him again. And that face staring back at me smiled, said, everything has changed, Ira James. This world is yours. This world is yours, my friend. And now it's up to you to carry on and enjoy the life before you. Today I woke up and saw that even though my heart has been weighing heavy, everything is going to get better. Many things in life just aren't meant to be, but when a door shuts in life, it opens a window, and I see the opportunity before me, and I'm not going to squander it. It's my time now, and I'm finally free, and I'm going to shine. You know, cheer up, beautiful people. This is where you get to make things right. Now, I love that quote. I actually pulled that from Walter White on Breaking Bad. And
fucking Ira.
But the thing is, though, is cheer up, beautiful people. This is where you get to make things right. This is a message that I can portray to everybody.
Yeah.
You have the chance to make it right, so cheer the fuck up.
You do.
That's why it resonated so much. Like, even though the connotation of that show, like, is what it is.
That's why it's funny that you quoted Walter White.
Dude,
it's like,
I forever will quote Walter White.
It's like, it's so you, though. It's so you.
But the message, like, when that popped up, it couldn't have popped up at a better time.
Yeah.
You know, because it reminded me. Because I remember all those years looking in the mirror in fucking prison, hating everything, and saying, is today the day it's going to change? Well, no, it's not going to fucking change in here.
Yeah.
And that was my answer every day. Until one day, I decided to start making changes. And I stopped asking that man in that mirror.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't time to talk to him. That day, when I wrote that, that's when I talked to that guy again in the mirror. And that was the message.
It's really fascinating. It really is fascinating, like what happens in the brain. It really is. Like, the last couple weeks, I've been very intrigued by it for, you know, a number of fucking reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Really. You know, but you gotta use your voice when you open your mouth. You know.
Yeah.
You gotta.
But you gotta say something of substance too, because if you say a bunch of fodder, you're gonna go nowhere.
Exactly my point. Use your voice when you open your mouth. If you're just fucking doing this to others and to yourself, right? Talking to yourself, hey, you'll change it tomorrow, and hey, you'll change it tomorrow, and hey, you know, and you start to you get that momentum, but you have to use your voice when you open your mouth, bro, and be intentional, and you have to follow fucking through. You have to, and life is a very risky, slippery fucking slope, man.
Yes, it really is.
It really fucking is.
And if you slip, it could start sliding, going downhill.
Yeah.
You catch that slip, you're all the more better.
Yeah.
Like I've been slipping. You've watched it. Other people are watching it.
Bro, are you kidding me? I fucking slip. Just nobody sees it. Okay. Most people don't see it.
But the thing is, though, is this is where we have the blessing.
Yeah.
You've picked me up on my slips. I've picked you up on yours.
Yes. I did. I do recall calling you recently, Ira. What'd you say to me? You said, "Boss, let me tell you."
I said a lot that day.
No. I'm not sure yet. 1 second. You said I called. I was drinking. I think I was drinking.
Well, they didn't need to know that, but
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. I think I was drinking. I gotta remember things, Ira. I'm going through my process. And I called, and I think you said you were about to tell me about work or something, and I think I said, Ira.
Oh yes.
I can't hear about work right now.
And the thing is I heard the message, and we focused 100% on what you need to. I realized this is one of those days. Ira, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I needed.
You needed your friend.
I needed you that day. I really did. I was. What was this? A week ago, maybe?
Yeah, it was a week ago.
About a week ago, when my madness begun. Well, my madness.
Actually, I think it was Monday.
Yeah, I think my madness upgraded at some point, and I called you and I said, "Bro, I don't want to hear about work. I gotta talk to you about something." And you let me fucking just ramble and ramble, and you just let me talk. And that's what I mean, when you're dealing with these slippery slopes. Life is meant to be that way, and I've gotten more and more accepting of, like, this is life, and it's got to be the way it is, and you can't control that. You have to just let it do what it wants to do. Because it's all happening for a reason, whether you believe it or not.
Right.
You could fucking argue me all goddamn day.
Which I do.
But it's happening for a reason. In the last couple of weeks, I've questioned. I can tell you every little thing in my life, whether it be personal finance, business, romance, you name it. I've nailed every single topic. I've questioned. I need to understand. I wanted to understand and understand on a really deep fucking level, man. And that's okay, and sometimes that's really fucking scary. But back to what I was saying about my weird revelation. People need to learn to be vulnerable, man. People need to learn to be fucking vulnerable.
I mean, and we're gonna keep driving that. Like, 'cause the thing is, though, it's important.
It's a superpower.
Like, it really is. Like,
it's a fucking superpower.
Like, 'cause old school way of growing up and raising your kids.
Yeah.
You can't be vulnerable. It's a weakness. That's the connotation that was provided to us as children.
Yes.
And this is what I love about generational switch now, because I can't say everybody's embraced vulnerability, but it's moving towards that.
They have to.
And it's moving towards more acceptance.
Yeah. There's a lot of...
And, dude, there's so much power in vulnerability. There really is.
To accept your faults and accept your strengths and have conversation.
But the other side of that, though, is never forget, though, that it is not fully accepted all across the board. So be careful who you're vulnerable to.
Well, yeah,
And I don't mean that in a fucked up way.
No,
I just mean that because there are people that look for vulnerabilities to exploit.
Okay. I mean, we live in a very malicious world. We do. People just, I think by nature, maybe they're born with it, maybe it's learned, it happens, but...
Right, one thing is, and like, I'd like to pass this off, though, like, if you do choose to be vulnerable with somebody, and they take that and utilize it in any other means as opposed, like, indifference of, what it should be used as, don't shut yourself off for the rest of the world. Just recognize and understand that was the wrong person, but don't ever give up on that. Like, and the thing is, though, is like, and I can't speak more than anybody else when it comes to vulnerability, because that was one of my key aspects of not just changing, but metamorphosing into the man that I am.
Yeah.
Because in order to get in touch with yourself, you need to be vulnerable with yourself. But in order for people to get to know you, to really know you,
Yeah.
you need to be vulnerable. You know, and so it's quid pro quo. You know, and if you're vulnerable to somebody and they're being vulnerable back, that's, you know, that's equality. You know, they're putting back in what they're giving back what you're putting in.
A little autonomy.
Yeah. And that's important, you know, in any type of relationship. But also, like, if you feel that you're putting it in and they're not, or they're not being vulnerable, you have to look at it like they might not be ready. But you could be that one person to talk with them about your process of that and teach them something different, and then they can try something, and essentially you might end up having a better friend, a better spouse, and a better relationship.
I honestly may have lost my mind in the last couple of weeks.
You did a few times.
No, I'm almost...
No, you did a few times.
I'm almost certain now, more than ever, that it may have happened. Because what you just, like, you know, things being reciprocated and, you know, the relationships you have and people and learning new things and learning about other people and things of that nature was exactly what I was thinking this morning. Like, you were in my fucking head.
We've done this. This happened a few times.
Ira, the fucking problem is it happens with you more than anybody, but it fucking happens with a lot of people in the last couple of weeks. Everything is just like connecting, and I don't know if I'm just like that's what I was trying to make sense of this week when I came up across my revelation was is this clear? This wasn't something you concocted because this is what you wanted. This is clear as day. This is what it is. These are the facts, right? Not like, oh, okay, Aunt, let's make sense of your insecurity by blaming your dad for, you know, like was your dad truly part of this lack of self, right? And I wanted to understand wholeheartedly that I was understanding it the right way. And now here you are talking about reciprocating feelings and shit, and I'm fucked up. I'm fucked up, man, because I'm like so fascinated in the last week or so of you know how people interact and learning about people, and dude, I bring up that girl again. She was nothing fucking like me. Nothing.
Well, I mean, everything that you've expressed, definitely the opposite. But the thing is, though, is that's really awesome.
Oh, it was incredible.
Like, I mean, that's really awesome. Like, and here's the thing: like, a lot of times we feel that we need to connect with a certain type of person.
Yes.
And anything that's outside of that, we, you know, human nature. It's I don't know where it comes from. That's something I haven't figured out. But we tend to.
We avoid people that are different than us. We do.
Yes.
We
and the thing is, though, is like the amount that we can get from the people that are different from us. Like, that's where.
Yeah.
That's something that I've always done the opposite of. Like, I've always been around the people that are different. You know, and I might want to attribute that to the fact I moved around a lot. And when I moved around a lot as a kid, I was in a lot of new schools. And that's so.
I think it's different though when you're an adult.
Right. Oh, yes, it's much different.
Well, as a kid, I did the same thing. We did in and out of schools.
Yeah, but like when I was in and out of school, like I was constantly the new kid.
Yeah.
Okay, and when you're the new kid, you're kind of
Yeah.
You know, and when I moved to Roxbury, I never fit in with everybody. Like, I always was made to feel like an outsider.
Yeah.
I was one of the different kids from them. You know, I wasn't from there, and they never let me forget it. You know, and I have and the thing is, this is probably one of the best things that could have ever happened to me, because it's allowed me to appreciate the differences of people, because I've had no choice but to fit in with the misfits.
Friends, my mom calls it friends of the friendless, because she was one of those kids growing up, but it was a different time growing up I don't know, the 40s or whatever the fuck she was born. But that, yeah, you know, fitting in and all that shit totally makes sense. But I was really, I've always been very captivated by people, like in the way people think.
It's actually funny that we're on this, and I didn't mean to cut you off on
No,
that.
not at all.
But this needs to come out.
Yeah.
When you and I first met, 1,000% opposite. I was not the type of person that you would ever, like,
Ira was
latch
trying
to.
Ira was trying to get me to go to like fucking Korn concerts or something, whatever.
No, Rammstein.
Rammstein. I'm like, Ira, I'm not fucking like, look at me, like I'm not that guy.
Right, and the thing is like, you were the, like, and I mean this with all respect, but you were the last type of person that I would ever, ever, like,
Yes.
put in front of me. And what I mean by in front of me, as like a leader.
Yeah.
Like, I followed you, like,
I know.
Dude.
I know. Don't you think I know this? You think you need to tell me this? Do I have asshole
look at
written
how
across
red
my-
he's turning, because he, like,
See asshole written across my
because
forehead?
it's so true. Like, and
It's
the thing
so
is,
true.
like, but the thing is, though, is like,
so true.
but the vibe that I got off of you, like, this is the guy, like, this is the guy. Like, you were the guy. You weren't the guy, you were the guy.
Thank you, Ira. But yes, and likewise for this girl that I was talking to, I do have to admit I was really smitten over this girl, bro. I was, and I made a really tough call. I mean, honestly, I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have. Yeah, I shouldn't have. It was a bad call.
So, my personal feeling on it, like, I don't know if you realize how much joy it brings me that you had that experience. Like, that...
I'm fragile, Ira. Take it easy.
But what I'm saying, like, no, like, it's big, because...
You're being too sweet to me this morning.
Like, no, because I've been there. Like, it is such a good feeling. And, like, the way that it turned out at the end, like, that's not exactly, you know, the storybook ending. But what you were... That smitten...
Yeah.
Like, I know that, dude. It is fucking awesome. Like,
Yeah.
it is so awesome. And,
Bro.
like, I'm overjoyed that you were able to experience that, because...
This was the
like,
first
you
person...
haven't.
yeah.
Like, you haven't.
Since
you know,
Danielle,
and,
yeah.
And then everything that happened with the divorce and all that, I was a little worried that, you know, you were going to bury yourself completely in work and just not allow that door to open.
I did,
And when you did, I mean, it, like, and I gotta, even though it turned out the way it did, it was a slam dunk, dude.
Yeah, it was, and it didn't. I ended things maybe not as I should have, right? But, dude, I was sitting in fucking Ira.
Right, the thing is, though, is, dude, I'm on the other side here with you, and the way you went about it, as soon as you let me know, I understood it,
Yeah.
and there was no.
I don't invest my time in anyone,
Yeah.
Ira.
Like, there was, like, the thing is, though, is I could not have said anything to you about that, because I know that feeling. And when you rip the Band-Aid off, you gotta rip it off hard and quick. And that is exactly what happened, and I understood it. And with the situation, I think that was best.
This will come full circle, but I was sitting in fucking parks, bro. Laying on blankets in parks and shit. Like, shit I don't do. Like, shit I don't do. But, like, this girl,
But it was a new experience.
She could have told me to fucking rob a bank, and I'd have been like, okay, I'll see you in a little bit. Like,
And you definitely wouldn't have called me.
I definitely would have been going to rob a bank. But she was, it was an
And
experience.
for the record, he's not gonna go and rob a bank.
No, I'm not. But she was she was nice. She was good to me, and I liked her, and it was nice, and I don't think it's over, but I could be wrong. Maybe it is over. Anyway.
So here's the thing, though, and I'm really glad that you had that experience, because
Me too.
that you had that, I don't know if you fully appreciate it yet. Maybe you do. But that opens a whole nother world for you. Like, I really wholeheartedly feel that you're gonna see that there's more to you than you realized. And what I mean by that is the fact that it was something different You learned a lot.
Get the fuck out
You
right
learned a
now.
lot.
Get the fuck out of here right now, dude. Get the fuck out. I'm done talking to you today.
Dude, this is like a very happy conversation for
I
me
am
because
so
it's
done
not very
talking to
often.
you.
It's not very often. If actually it never happens that I get to have this type of conversation with any of my friends.
Ira's overjoyed for me.
No, I really am because
And I know
this
you
is
are.
this is deep. This is deep. Like,
It
but
is.
it's important. And the thing is,
It's deep to you because you know it's deep to me too.
but not just that, dude. I've experienced it, and the thing
Yeah.
is, though, is I've never met somebody else who experienced that same wave of emotions.
Yeah.
Like, this is why I'm so like amped about it right now. Like, I'm really fucking joyed.
It's interesting because you.
Oh, and by the way, I do have qualities and traits as an empath, so I am feeding off of his aura.
Yes, you are. I think, dude, everything. My fucking brain is not working. Fuck. Oh my god, you're like looking at me like a small child. Oh man. I want to cry. I want to cry. This is fucking terrible. Ira,
Anthony.
thank God I met this girl, man.
Yes.
Because I
You want to, if you want to keep it in one sentence, yes.
yeah, because I am who I was a couple weeks ago would have been looking at me today going, who the fuck are you? Because who I am today is like
Not the same person you were 2 weeks ago.
not fucking hardly close. And that girl opened my brain to something that I did not fucking knew existed in me. You know, and
you want to know why that's so impactful for me? Because that's literally how things were for me and Jess. Like, the moment we met, everything started changing, experiencing different things, thinking of things that, you know, I never, really, I never expressed with another person, you know, but sharing experiences with somebody that's completely out of the norm, like, it opens up a world of, it opens up a whole other world.
dude,
And this is why I'm so overjoyed, because like I experienced it, and this is like you understand, like this the fact that you understand, like I know you understand.
Oh yeah.
So that's why I'm very happy, because one thing that we do struggle with in life is wondering if somebody truly understands you, and you never really know until you know. I know.
Yeah, but and I say it to you a lot too. Like sometimes we just want to know we're not alone, you know, and right back to being understood. Because we are so greatly misunderstood that when we do come across somebody that understands us, it's really a nice feeling.
My bun's gonna end up knocking this thing down.
Well,
That would be a very, very bad thing.
yeah.
So let me watch it.
Yeah. But it was a great experience. Lovely. She was a remarkable individual. And I was like a fucking fat kid in a candy store talking to her, man. She was really nice. And frankly, I would have never walked away from work ever again. I by chance this happened. This wasn't something I fucking pursued. It was even something I pursued it a little. And then I stepped back and said, "Nope, this isn't you. You're a worker. Go back to fucking
you
work."
pursued it, but the thing is, though, is
Just
the
a little.
stars aligned.
Yeah,
That was the thing. Like, this could not have been ignored.
Yeah,
Like, it could not have been ignored. You
Yeah.
followed the, for lack of a better term, the breadcrumbs,
I did.
because they were being left.
Yeah, and I'm very aware of that.
And that. So, if you really want to look at it, it was like the universe obviously is creating another path. You had the insight to follow that because you saw the breadcrumbs.
Yes, I saw it through, motherfucker.
Now, the thing is, though, is a lot of times and this is where I talk a lot about, not so much on the podcast, but in life, I talk about recognizing and seeing opportunities when they present themselves in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing is like, if you're emotionally distraught or you're not on your game or whatever term you want to use, okay, you don't realize all the opportunities that present themselves because you're focused on so many other things. You're focused
you get
on
in your head, yeah.
You're in your head, and that so. A big part of self-care is bringing yourself back to reality. So when you do see those opportunities, because that's like what I was talking about. When a door shuts, a window opens.
Yeah.
The reason why I use that analogy is because the door is open and the door is big. Okay, when it shuts, something big shuts, so you feel like, fuck, I'm locked out. But when something big shuts, something small opens, like a window. But we may not be able to see that. But if you're keeping yourself level, you can see when that small little window opens, because that small little window you can then cut out and turn into a big fucking door. And then you have the key and you can open it at whenever you need.
I feel very lucky. I do. I feel like I am very lucky in a lot of ways, but you know, especially you know, with the people in my life. I am whole by the people in my life. I truly am. It's something that will always be like a sick obsession. Like the people, I think people are so fascinating. I think people are so amazing. And
well, I mean, you've always found me fascinating. And you, like, I mean, the thing is, though, is for a while, you never really pointed it out, you know, but a good portion of our earlier relationship, more so you were trying to keep at arm's length, obviously, for good reason, because you were my boss.
Yeah.
You know, but, like, you know, it took me a long time to chip away at that armor, you know, but I needed to provide you with the security that, you know, I could separate our personal friendship and you being my boss.
yeah.
And when I proved that to you, that's when things changed. You know, and it doesn't work that way with everybody, nor should it.
No, it shouldn't. But
You know, but the thing is like, definitely grateful to have you, man.
Thank you, Ira. I'm grateful to have you, buddy.
Because one thing is I haven't been grateful for the things I should be grateful, because I constantly was focusing on more, or focusing on what isn't there, and losing sight of what is there. When you lose sight of what is there, depreciation isn't felt. You know, and that's one thing that, you know, I'm really working on, is making sure the people that I love know that I truly appreciate them as well. You know, because I couldn't be working through my processes, I couldn't be walking through each day without you guys. You know, and life is good, dude. Life is really fucking good. It's a pain in the ass. It kicks you in the nuts, but dude, life is fucking good. Like, and the thing is, though, is that I've been very vocal about how this fucking pandemic has been such a shit show.
Yeah.
And that, but then, dude, even in the midst of that, dude, like, and I'm not speaking for everybody. I'm not saying everything's all peaches and cream.
Well,
like,
nothing's peaches and cream.
But, like, dude,
In nobody's
life
life.
is good, because here's the thing. It could be 10 times fucking worse. It could be 10 times worse than this shit.
Happiness is not about getting what you want all the time. It's about loving what you have. And it's true,
Yeah.
and it can always be
And,
worse.
and the problem is a lot of times we forget that.
We do, and because it's easy to fall into that cycle of thinking and wanting more and needing more, because a lot of people don't know how to validate themselves. That's right back to my revelation about myself, Ira. I don't know how to validate myself for so many years, so I become what? A people pleaser, I'm going to shove my feelings to the side because I don't know how to validate myself. And that's a discovery that will stifle some fucking people. They will fucking trip and fall and never get up from discovering that about themselves. And it's not bad. It can be bad, but you have to know that about yourself, you know, and control it, because the only thing that can validate you is just the way you think and the way you go about your life, man. There's no car, no job, no amount of money. I don't fucking care, dude. I don't care. There's nothing that can validate you other than yourself.
That is true.
You get yourself to that point, man. You're gonna do really, really, really incredible things.
Well, I mean,
Being
my narcissistic side is about to come out, but dude, since getting out of prison,
I hate
like,
narcissists.
I validated myself so much, and I've been successful due to it.
Good.
But then,
They do say there's some leverage with being a narcissist, so that is one of them.
But one thing is like, lately, my confidence has been low,
Yeah.
and so validation wasn't really happening.
Yeah.
And issues were presenting themselves and problems were being created, and I had to take a real good look, dude, because a lot of this shit I could have prevented.
I'm very proud of you, by the way, because your attitude's very different from last week.
Well, it took last week. It took a conversation with you. It also took a lot of work because
you haven't started journaling yet, have you?
No, I have.
I'm skeptical.
I haven't wrote a lot. Like,
I just finished my first journal, Ira.
my first one is, and I have no problem sharing this. My first one, and it was literally the first thought that came to my mind when I opened it, and I had to remind myself, there's nothing in this world you cannot do. That's literally the first one. Like, that's literally all I wrote. And when I wrote it, I sat there and I just kept reading it over and over. And instead of writing, I utilized that moment to remind myself, there's nothing you can't do.
Yeah.
And when I say that, in my mental, everything I set out to do and everything I said I was going to do, to up to this point, I've created.
Yeah.
You know, and once I have that thought, then, like, literally instantly, you know, all the memories of everything and everything in between all comes into recognition. Like, it's all like one jumbled thought, but not jumbled. Like, it's just like, instead of having to sit here and relive everything over the course of time, you relived it all in like 1 second, if that. And it smacks you and it's like, holy shit. And for me, to have that moment to just realize and remember, like, dude, there's nothing you can't do. And if you think yourself to success, you will be successful. But what my success to me is in life is becoming the person I always should have been and creating the life that I never had. Well, I've done that. Now it's up to me to expand that life, improve the quality of it, and keep moving on.
Yeah, sometimes it's not so much about starting and trying again and doing it better the next time. Sometimes it's just about, you know, I remember Nina sending me the Mike Tyson quote of him watering his flowers or something. And it was pretty much like, don't worry about getting the best gadgets and the doodads to make the best garden. You don't need the best sprinkler system. You don't need the best this, you know. But, you know, what will make a good garden is just giving it your time, you know, and just taking the time to really labor over something intensely and giving it attention.
Yeah.
Because that's sometimes all things need, and you just grow that. But journaling is by far something I feel like I mean,
look, I'm no stranger to journaling. I journal a little bit differently. Like, I don't just sit here and write out my thoughts.
Everyone does.
Like,
Everyone does. That's fine.
But I said, when I was inside, you know, I had my tablet, and aside of like writing, you know, lyrics and music and poetry, and that, I would write out my experience of my safe place in my brain. And like, I mean, seriously, dude, I went back and read some of this a couple of months after I gotten out.
Yeah.
And I'm reading some of it, and just the amount of like creative writing that is there, like, it's artful, dude. But also at the same time, it's almost like you can go into that moment. Like, I've expressed it on the podcast, just in giving the vivid detail and all that. Like, that's literally how I write it, if not in more detail, just not as bad as Stephen King.
I'm not very good with a lot of things, but writing has always been a strong suit for me. So I have a lot of different writing styles.
I definitely would say writing is definitely a strong suit, and I didn't really recognize that or realize that until many months ago, you know, when Whiteboard Worthy was literally just a thought.
Yeah.
It wasn't a website, it wasn't anything, it wasn't even a company.
Yeah.
It was a thought. And in that thought, part of that fruition was when you allowed me to read the mission.
Yeah.
Because this was the first time you brought it up to me and talked to me about it. And I read the mission, and I was blown away, one, by what you wrote, but then what I saw there was, I learned something new about you.
Yeah.
Because nobody else wrote that. You wrote that. You didn't have help. Nobody edited it. Nobody went and said, well, you should do this and that and the third. Like, you would not allow that. This was something you held close to your chest. So I knew every
It's what's on the
word
website.
in there.
It's what's on the website today.
Right, but every single word there, okay, was your art and creation. But it was your heart being poured out in this mission. And from reading the impact that it made on me, it's literally the number one reasoning as to why I'm so invested into what you're doing with this. And it's more to me as a treat to be involved. You know? Because I want to be a part of something like that. And there's a reason why I'm not going into detail as to the mission, because when we launch the site, you know, you guys will really be able to read that. And meaning that I'm dropping a seed right now, and you read that, that message is so impactful, and it will give you such a great understanding as to who this man is. You know, because he only shows you so much. But when he launches Whiteboard Worthy, you're going to learn so much more about him and how this company came about. But also the thing is, though, is like, it's not about just Anthony or the company. It's applying it to the rest of the world.
It's not it's so far from being about me.
Exactly.
That I couldn't.
But you're the creator of it, and you're giving it to everybody.
Yeah, it's for everybody else, because I want people to be reminded that there's good in this world, and you're capable of things, and you should feel encouraged, and you should love, and you should say the things that you don't know you should say that maybe you shouldn't say, and you should try, and you should get up when you don't feel like getting up, and you should always believe in yourself on really bad days when it's hard to believe in yourself. And I want people to look at that and feel empowered and enlightened and encouraged and feel backed up and know that they've got just like anyone else. I want people to know, if it's one thing for Whiteboard Worthy, that they can rely on me. They can rely on me. And having my company, you can rely on my company. You can rely on us. If someone's giving you a fucking hard time, you call me. I want people to have my goddamn phone number, man. Call me. There's a problem. Let's hash it out, because nobody should feel like they're a piece of shit. Nobody should feel like...
Offline, I have an idea.
Okay, we'll talk about it. I think we're coming to a close, but I wanted to share with you my last journal entry from last night, actually.
Okay. I'm just blown away. Like, I feel like we just started.
Here's my journal entry.
Oh. So that's kind of almost like the last band that I started. It was called Between the Lines of Nothing. This in which I hope he grasps and thinks back to the previous conversation when I was talking about this.
Yeah. 8:16, Ira. There's nothing on the page.
Because it hasn't happened yet.
Sometimes just sitting in silence is a journal.
Yes.
And if I don't feel it, I don't write it, and I don't do it. Because I don't feel like doing it, I'm not just going to do it. I want to do what feels good to me.
Let me ask you something. How do you feel about sitting in absolute silence?
I feel like when I sit in absolute silence for an extended period of time, I kind of feel like I'm having sex, to be honest. There's no better way to put it.
Was it always like that?
No. I used to cringe. It drove me nuts. I couldn't.
And that's where I was going with that.
Yeah.
See, this is where it's been different for me. All right? Absolute silence, I've literally been at comfort and at peace. And I remember very much so when I was younger, you know, when I was very heavily in drug addiction, I was a junkie. And the amount of chaos I would create, I never really truly realized why I created so much chaos. It was because when it was quiet and I was at peace, I had to face myself. And when I had to face myself, I was going to realize that I'm a fucking junkie, and I'm probably going to be dead, or I'm probably going to be in jail, and I wanted to avoid that. So I created a lot of noise and chaos to keep from self-reflection, because I knew it was going to happen.
I love
And
that.
so I got put in a position later in life where I'm surrounded by four walls and nothing but silence. Well, maybe not always nothing but silence, but
We got the gist of it.
you know, that was when, you know, everything changed. When I embraced the fact of you're just completely comfortable in silence. And so maybe doing what you never did
is exactly what you needed.
exactly.
What a fucking conversation.
Actually, could you pull out the entry of what we were talking about? Your epiphany?
Oh yeah.
Like that we need, because we didn't go. I don't feel we did enough justice. Cause I want you to.
You want me to?
Yeah.
You want me to read it?
Because that's gonna be our closing. This is gonna be our closing thoughts.
All right. My instability of my life and my revelations of the week and so on and so forth. So I'll read it off. I want to remind people that this was big for me. This was fucking big. This was huge for me. It took me a lot of...
Dude, when you sent it to me, it was...
Yeah, no, I'm by no stretch of the imagination. I'm no fucking poet. I'm not you know, fucking the best at putting my words together sometimes because of fucking ADHD. But this was something I felt very clear about and felt really good about, and I took a lot of time marinating in this, and I hope other people do the same. So everything I know is simply an accumulation of what I've learned over the years. Struggling with identity for so many years, and what I mean is struggling to know oneself and having an accurate, keyword accurate, narrative for oneself in our mind. I think there is a great superpower of not knowing oneself all too well and having a sick attraction to latching onto the minds of others. Also eye-opening to see it's proven that we mimic the ones we mostly admire. And there's even more power to that statement, because it's okay to feel like you know nothing. Even if you struggle with your identity, that's okay. If you're anything like me, not having my dad's approval for much of my adolescence, it showed me now at this point in life that holds great weight psychologically, which I haven't given much thought to till now. Which I mentioned earlier, we talk about blinders. I loved my dad. I didn't think of shit like that. So inherently, without knowing, I latch onto the minds of others. It's how I validate myself. Not only because I'm captivated by the beautiful minds of others, but in part because there was something greatly missing in my developing years. I recognize that and fully accept that. That can be tough to wrap your head around, but due to the absence of being accepted by my dad, I grew to seek other people's approval, shoving my own true feelings down the drain. So my whole life pretty much has been through the eyes of others, not my own, thus increasing my ability to emphasize for the souls of the world and heightening my ability to gather knowledge. What an incredible edge. Therefore, what I know about my very own thoughts are, I am whole by the souls around me. Not knowing me for so many years has led me to one of my greatest revelations about myself. Identity loss isn't such a bad thing. It's a mouthful.
It is. So if you need to rewind and take it part by part, by all means do so. You know, but thing is though, is when you got to the end, you know, you lose your identity, it's okay. Because you still have the ability to rebuild it.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I struggle with identity for all my life.
Well, just broke my laptop.
Again.
We all do, bro. We all do. It's tough, and it's even tougher to realize that you do, because then it's hard, because you want to understand, if you're anything like me, you want to understand why. Because you know there's a disconnect, and now you've got to piece it together. And sometimes not understanding certain things, which I didn't understand that for a little bit. I really didn't. And then I stumbled across it, and I was like, oh, fuck, this makes total sense. But, we are definitely way past our time, Ira.
It's okay.
I'm supposed to be getting on a boat down in Tom's River. I don't know how, that's gonna pan out for me.
I mean, which is why we're doing such an early one, but however, you know, we were supposed to, do last night due to some technical difficulties. Here we are.
Great time today.
Yes.
If you guys haven't followed, subscribed, make sure you smash those buttons. Go find us. You don't want to miss these conversations. You just
Not at all.
don't. These are just. There's no fucking way people are talking about this stuff. There's just no way, man. There's just no way. Like on a very true and open level. But that's a wrap, Ira. Always a joy. Always a pleasure. Happy to have you. Till next time, everybody. We are out.